Hard-earned victory, Carl Hayden High School's robotics team is building upon its technical legacy with some cinematic flair. And later, a new program has students in the barn instead of the classroom, helping them turn a passion into a career.
Starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Yahaira Hawkes. Thanks for joining us. When Republicans retake control of the Senate in January, it will mean a promotion for one Arizona senator. John McCain is in line to become the chairman of the Armed Services Committee. Stephen Hicks joins us from our Washington bureau to tell us what his impending chairmanship could mean for Arizona. Stephen?
That's right, Yahaira. It's a very powerful committee, one with oversight over the nation's military. And this chairmanship would give McCain new authority to set the tone for the committee, as well as bring members of the Obama administration in for questioning.
He's always been one to question the Obama administration's foreign policy.
You think that these people you're training will only go back to fight against ISIL? Do you really believe that, General?
Now that he is expected to move 2 seats over and be named chairman, his voice will carry even more weight.
Senator McCain can have a pretty significant impact on how things are done and the issues that they take up.
Issues important to McCain, like trying to keep a fleet of A-10 fighter jets at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base and keep defense programs in place at Fort Huachuca.
My guess is that he'll be looking to do things that would be beneficial to the state.
But based on his track record as senator, it's likely he will also go after a couple of new costly military programs.
He's been very critical of the program on the F-35, on the building of an aircraft carrier, which has significant cost overruns.
While McCain is passionate about trimming the budget, Billett thinks the senator's first move as chairman will be a series of hearings on the impact of sequestration.
And he takes a very simple position here, and that is, you know, our budget shouldn't be driving strategy. Our strategy should be driving our budget.
And that could lead to a number of awkward hearings for the Obama administration. For the man known as the Maverick, bringing discomfort is nothing new.
He's not averse to sort of shaking things up and getting people to come in and answer tough questions.
Now, Cronkite News reached out to Senator McCain several times to get his specific plans for Arizona, but unfortunately, we were unable to get anything scheduled. Live in Washington, D.C., Stephen Hicks, Cronkite News.
Also in Washington, ASU President Michael Crow and Grand Canyon University President Brian Mueller joined college presidents from around the country at President Barack Obama's White House College Opportunity Summit. President Obama held this summit to get university presidents together so they can talk about how to better connect K-12 schools with colleges and universities. Grand Canyon was recognized for its STEM Scholars Program. STEM is designed to get high school students to start thinking about college sooner.
If we can get to them early as freshmen and sophomores and talk to them about this program and the fact that if they take math seriously and if they take science seriously, if they have interest in those subject matter areas, they can actually start working on a college career as they start their junior year.
President Mueller says the entire Peoria Unified School District is signed up for the STEM Scholars Program, and the plan is to add another 9 districts by the end of 2015. More high school students than ever are turning to technical schools to get a diploma and get into the workforce. Lacey Darrow visited one school where students are stepping out of the classroom and into the cockpit. Lacey, can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, with high schools increasingly preparing students for college, the gap in the labor force in Arizona is growing larger. I went to one Valley school that's hoping to lessen the gap.
There may be students and teachers, but this is not your traditional classroom. At Westmeck School in Glendale, they're taking a different, more hands-on approach to learning.
Okay, so this looks good.
Westmeck is a career and technical education, or CTE, high school where students can specialize in programs from cosmetology to veterinary services to aviation.
Kids are interested and they are curious and want to learn and want to progress, and I think CTE programs help make that happen.
In Arizona, students must pass a required number of Common Core and elective classes to graduate. Students can choose to take electives at their high school or opt for a specialized CTE program. More than 1 in 4 students chooses to participate in a CTE program. Senior Matthew Capote said the aviation program at West Meck helps put him one step closer to his goal of becoming an aeronautical engineer.
Because it's fun. It's better than ordinary high school. We actually get to do stuff with our hands. We actually learn stuff. Instead of sitting behind a desk all the time, we actually come down, we learn hands-on what to do.
Of the almost 90,000 Arizona students who took CTE programs in the 2012-2013 school year, 96% graduated high school in 4 years, a much higher average than students only enrolled in traditional high school classes.
It's pretty professional. The instructors don't let us goof off or anything. Hey, get on task or whatever. They're always on top of us.
With cooperation from more than 46 high schools and 21,000 students, West Meck believes it's helping to prepare Arizona's future workforce.
West Meck has campuses located all over the valley and the state, as well as satellite campuses for those who are interested in getting a hands-on education. Lacey Darrow, Cronkite News.
Thank you, Lacey. State high school robotics teams can now get a letter for their work. The Arizona Interscholastic Association now recognizes them as an official competition, similar to Spiritline or Speech and Debate Team. One of the reasons, renewed interest in teams like the one from Carl Hayden Community High School. Their win over MIT at a national competition 10 years ago is being immortalized on the big screen. As reporter Michael Gordon found out, the impact of that win is still felt in the classroom and in the community.
The first words out of my wife's mouth after I told her we won was, "That's not possible."
Faridodin Lajvardi's wife wasn't the only one surprised to hear that her husband's first-year robotics team had won one of the country's most elite robotics competitions. The 2004 Carl Hayden Community High School robotics team was made up of undocumented students with very little experience with robotics.
After they announced that we won, we came back to the table. I asked everyone to stick their hands out, and we were all shaking.
The team they beat at the Marine Advanced Technology Education competition was MIT. That True Life Hollywood ending will soon be on the big screen.
It was about actually solving the specific problems indicative to what was in the mission. It didn't require an MIT degree.
But the positive impact of the robotics team is about more than just getting awards.
It's a sense of pride, a sense that, hey, our students, our population can be successful, they can compete with the best.
And the win is still inspiring students like Samantha Nieto, who's on the 2014 team.
I was first astonished that this had even happened here at this school, and it's just amazing to know where you come from and what what anybody can achieve, really.
And the man that helped put the first team together is still at the helm of the Carl Hayden robotics team, getting them ready for the next challenge.
This is where you build an autonomous robot, one that you do not drive. Well, the one we were building, this one back here, is going to be an autonomous underwater robot. It has a computer on it, it's got cameras on it, sensors on it.
Whether by land, sea, or air, Lajvardi's team will continue to figure out how to build a better robot. In Phoenix, Michael Gordon, Cronkite News.
The Arizona Super Bowl might have some Arizonans wanting to make a quick buck from renting out their homes. Short-term rentals are in high demand, but it's important for homeowners to be cautious and covered before they hand over their keys. Mia De La Rosa is one of many who are renting out their homes for the Pro Bowl and Super Bowl.
And the master is just around the corner.
But unlike many, she is hoping this will be a launch pad for a new business.
The Super Bowl is just the motivation to launch a plan that has been in the making for quite some time.
She's turning her second home into a bed and breakfast. Mia says she's done her research and also knows what precautions to take.
We don't do keys. Every guest gets a code.
John Condasso of AAA says if you're considering renting out your home for one of the big games, make sure to do your homework.
What you really need to make sure of is that if you are going to rent your home, that the insurance policy does protect you and if they have renters in there.
You should also revisit your policy to see if you have enough liability in case someone is injured.
Something happens and you get sued, you want to make sure that that same contract can protect you.
Condasso also recommends doing a background check on the renter and then create and send over a contract, something Mia's already done.
And if they think that staying here is a good fit for them, then I send them the contract and they can look it over.
And before your guest comes to your home,
remove your valuables. So whether it be your jewelry, collectibles, again, these are people you might know on paper, but you don't know.
and keep in mind, there are thousands of hotel rooms in the Valley competing with your home rental. So be realistic in your expectations. When your guests leave and you move back into your home, Condasso says to consider changing the locks and getting new keys. Let's hand it over to Jamie Warren with a look at what's coming up on Cronkite News.
The number of foster kids in Arizona is growing, forcing state agencies to find more unconventional places for them to stay. And students at Valley Community College are trading pen and paper for hands-on training in horse care.
Cronkite News is a real newsroom with real stories told by real reporters.
Bringing you the latest in all news, all Arizona.
Live in Graham County.
Live in Globe.
Reporting live in Phoenix.
Live at the Republican headquarters in downtown Phoenix.
Cronkite News directly connects the nation's capital to yours.
While Arizonans anxiously await the outcome.
I spoke to Congresswoman Kirkpatrick.
Live in Washington, D.C., Stephen Hicks, Cronkite News.
Now airing on 8 HD, this is Cronkite News.
Who were the people that got us from there?
A world without glass, clean drinking water, time, or light.
To here.
These were hobbyists, garage inventors, and obsessive tinkerers. These are people who actually made the modern world, who set off an amazing chain reaction of ideas.
It's the story of How We Got to Now with Steven Johnson, coming in October, only on PBS.
Imagine being taken away from an abusive situation as a child, but instead of finding a loving family to take you in, you have to sleep in an office on a cot with other children. That's what's happening here in Arizona now that there are about 7,000 more foster kids than there were 10 years ago. Reporter Mackenzie Scott tells us the implications that these numbers are having on the state. Mackenzie?
Thanks, Jamie. The number of foster kids may have been increasing, but the number of foster parents has not, which has resulted in foster kids sleeping in state offices instead of bedrooms. This play area used to be office space, but at night, 3 rooms are converted to bedrooms when needed. This is the Arizona Department of Child Safety's temporary solution to the overflow of foster children that need housing.
Any kid that is pulled after hours that we do not find a placement for would come here at 6 Monday through Friday or on the weekends. So we've had as many as 16.
For foster mom and president of the Arizona Association for Foster and Adoptive Parents, Chris Jacober thinks there could have been a better solution.
It seems a sad state of affairs when the state's response to too many kids in foster care is to paint an office and put some decals on the wall and cots in there. I sure would like to see some more activity toward how do we make this go away.
Retention is one factor resulting in lack of foster parents. Another, the long process to becoming approved, which includes 30 hours of training.
I didn't find it to be difficult. I found it to be important, but they did go through every part of your life, financially, physically, your home, to make sure that you would be a good fit for the kids.
DCS is just starting to see the number of kids sleeping in state buildings drop due to the increase of group homes.
The department has really focused on bringing in group homes. So we're seeing group homes actually increase, and we're seeing them increase more and more daily.
That could be the answer that helps get a child from a cot to a bed. While most states have seen a decrease in foster kids, Arizona has the second highest number coming into the system in the nation. Live from the Media Center, Mackenzie Scott, Cronkite News.
And as DCS struggles to find homes for all these foster children, one organization is working on finding them future careers. The Arizona Friends of Foster Children Foundation started the Keys to Success program, which helps foster teens find jobs that play to their strengths and give them the resources to accomplish their dreams. So far, the program has helped 50 kids. Next year's goal is to help twice as many. And one program at Scottsdale Community College is taking students out of the classroom and into the barn. I took a trip down to Horses Help, a horse facility in Scottsdale, to see how students are getting hands-on experience giving medical care to horses.
They like to neigh, eat hay, and hang out in the sun. But Johnny Williams knows firsthand there's no horsing around when it comes to caring for these four-legged friends.
There's just something that only horse people can understand about that. It's hard to explain.
Johnny's love for horses started at the age of 14.
They can relate to you in ways that humans can't. They listen, even though they don't talk back.
She's now a student in the equine science program at Scottsdale Community College. But you don't have to want to become a vet to benefit from the program.
Teaching them ground manners, how to work in a round pen, how to lead, how to have their feet handled.
The program offers workshops to students and community members every couple of weeks.
Those attending the class can go outside and get hands-on experience with real horses.
Who has a stethoscope?
Dr. Patricia Evans says it's important for horse owners to know how to give proper medical care.
That's going to save them some money. It's also going to save, if it's a real emergency, it could save that horse's life.
A life that Johnny says gives her motivation.
When you get to work with an animal and you get that sense of responsibility and purpose in life, it helps you refocus where you're going.
But for now, these horse lovers are going,
I want to teach them for life.
Back to the barn.
Upcoming events, you can go to scottsdalecc.edu, and all fees go towards the Scottsdale Community College Equine Science Program. Now, here's Annalise Ortiz with a look at what's ahead.
Thanks, Jamie. Bad weather can test any driver's skills and patience, especially with rain-related accidents on roadways. But AAA has some tips to keep you safe for the next storm. And there are still 3 weeks until Christmas, but the White House is already getting in the holiday spirit by lighting the national Christmas tree.
Who were the people that got us from there?
A world without glass, clean drinking water, time, or light.
To here.
These were hobbyists, garage inventors, and obsessive tinkerers. These are people who actually made the modern world, who set off an amazing chain reaction of ideas.
It's the story of How We Got to Now with Steven Johnson, coming in October, only on PBS.
Welcome back. One Native American tribe in northern Arizona has a new source of water thanks to a federal settlement. The Wallapai tribe now has water rights to the Bill Williams River, a tributary of the Colorado. The settlement includes funding for water and infrastructure to provide running water to the Grand Canyon Skywalk. Mojave County officials opposed the settlement, saying it would bring less money from sales and property taxes into the county. But northern Arizona wasn't the only area receiving water today. Heavy rains hit most of the state this morning. Elle, are we going to see more moisture in the coming days?
Thanks, Annalise. It was a wet one out there this morning, with Valley cities almost getting an inch of rain. But luckily, the storm didn't stick around too long, so we didn't get much accumulation. Let's take a look at that satellite radar. You can see that storm that caused all the rain continuing to move east, but there is another storm coming in behind it that'll be here this weekend, causing a slight chance of rain on Saturday. But right now out in Phoenix, we have beautiful overcast day. The temperature is 67. We have relatively high humidity from that storm at 71% and winds from the west at 3 miles per hour. In Tucson right now it's 63, out in Yuma 69, and in Flagstaff 45. Across the country we cooled off, but Miami's keeping the heat. It's currently 76. Up in Fargo they got out of the single digits and they're at 30 degrees, and in Denver we have 47. Tonight, back here in Phoenix, We're going to dip down into the 50s and have a slight chance for patchy fog. So if you're heading out there, be careful. Tomorrow we're going to heat back up. In Phoenix, we're going to get up to 74. Out in Yuma, 75. And in the northern part of the state, they're going to be in the 50s. Let's take a look at your 5-day forecast. Now, there is a slight chance of rain on Saturday, but Sunday through the beginning of your week, next week, we're going to heat back up to almost 80 and have clear skies. For Cronkite Weather, I'm Elle Johns.
Thanks, Elle. Well, it's definitely nice to see some rain in the valley, but when roads are wet, some Arizonans aren't sure of the best way to stay safe behind the wheel. A foggy morning and pouring rain led to numerous accidents across the valley.
I've noticed a lot of people don't remember how to drive correctly in the rain. I'm one of those people sometimes.
Simple mistakes like speeding and distracted driving can have major consequences when the roads are slick.
I was behind a semi and one guy was trying to squeeze in between in front of it and clipped the back of his car and went into a spin.
People tend to forget the importance of the amount of space in between you and the car in front of you.
In inclement weather, you want to increase that even more so perhaps even half a car to a full car length.
Or they're unaware of basic safety tips. One thing many Arizonans don't consider about driving in the rain is to make sure that cruise control is turned off. That way you can be sure that your tires are maintaining traction against those slick roads. The best thing to do,
any case of inclement weather, whether it's a monsoon in the summer or rain any time of year, is to avoid driving in inclement weather if at all possible.
But if that's not possible,
drive safe.
Now, AAA also reminds you that even though Arizonans just love to capture pictures and video of the rain, do not attempt to do so while driving. Now let's go back to Yahaira Jaquez with what's coming up on Cronkite News.
Thank you, Annalise. It's starting to look a lot like Christmas in Washington as the nation's capital prepares for the Christmas tree lighting ceremony.
Should I believe in the world, Mama?
I think so.
Should I give up and hide, or should I stay and fight? Should I believe in the rules, Mama?
What are the consequences?
Can I speak out my mind in these changing times? I don't know what to believe, Mama.
Will you march with us?
There's a fire inside, there's a storm on the rise. Give me a reason to be, Mama.
Buonasera.
'Cause I need someone to believe, believe, believe in.
The world is more complicated than it's ever been.
The News Hour is always going to take you deeper and take you broader.
And that is worth fighting for.
Night after night, 7 days a week.
I'm Maria Hinojosa.
I'm Gwen Eiffel. And I'm Judy Woodruff.
On behalf of all of us here, thanks for watching.
Friday nights, it's the PBS Arts Fall Festival with our host, Emmy and Tony Award winner Kristen Chenoweth.
Join me for an incredible season of performances and stars, including Emma Thompson, Nathan Lane, the best of Austin City Limits, Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga, and so many more. It's the very best of the arts every Friday night.
The PBS Arts Fall Festival starts Friday, September 26th at 9/8 Central, only on PBS.
Welcome back. Christmas is only 3 weeks away, and if you were planning on cutting a natural Christmas tree, you may have to change your plans. The Coconino National Forest officials say they have sold out of Christmas tree cutting permits. Reporter Imelda Mejia joins us from our media center. Imelda, are there any restrictions on how many permits someone can get?
Well, it all depends on which national forest you go to get your Christmas tree. Most will limit you to one per household, but if you're lucky, the Kaibab National Forest will give you a few more if you prove that it's for a household use and not anything else.
And where can Arizona residents still go to get a permit to cut down their own Christmas tree?
There are still permits available at the Kaibab, the Apache Sickareves, and the Tonto National Forest, so residents can drive up there, or they can head to some Big Five locations where they sell some Apache Sickareve National Forest permits. So live from the Meadow Center, I'm Imelda Mejia, Cronkite News.
Thank you, Imelda. Through times of peace and times of war, it's a tradition that has lasted over 90 years, the lighting of the national Christmas tree at the White House. Stephen Hicks in our Washington bureau saw the tree this morning and tells us what to expect when the president lights the tree.
Through the years, different trees and different locations have been used, but it's still
arguably one of DC's oldest and most treasured holiday traditions.
Calvin Coolidge lit the first tree, and presidents have been doing the same ever since. This year's tree is a living tree from Virginia and is seeing its third lighting. But there's also a tree representing Arizona.
There are 56 trees around the base, smaller trees that represent the 50 states and the 6 U.S. territories.
Another site that has become a holiday tradition, model trains that are set up at the base of the tree by volunteers.
This is the 21st year for the trains. It's my 20th year actively down here.
One thing in particular keeps him coming back year after year.
Watching the kids and the families that come down here and enjoy it. It's a part of their holiday tradition now.
While the night is steeped in tradition, one thing that is different this year, the Christmas lights. Usually, these trees are decorated with each state's personalized ornaments. This year, with Google's Made with Code website, the trees will feature light patterns designed by anyone with an internet connection.
You can, from the comfort of your own living room, actually program a 10-second snippet of one of these trees.
A 21st century twist on a classic holiday tradition. Reporting at the White House, Stephen Hicks, Cronkite News.
Tonight's lighting will feature musical performances from Neo, Patti LaBelle, and Steve Miller. If you would like to watch the event, head over to whitehouse.gov. There are also plenty of Hanukkah celebrations set throughout the valley. The Jewish celebrations of light start on December 16th. The Fairmont, Scottsdale, Princess, and Phoenician hotels will light menorahs every night through December 24th, and the West Valley residents can celebrate at the Westgate Entertainment District on December 20th. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us, and have a good night.
Find top Arizona stories anytime at CronkiteNewsOnline.com.